Cain. The first murder recorded in the Bible was committed by Cain, the firstborn of Adam and Eve. Cain was a farmer, while his younger brother Abel cared for sheep. Both presented offerings to God, but there was a difference in their approach. Abel brought the very best from his flock, while Cain gave only some of his crops. God looked with favor on Abel's offering but rejected Cain's. This stirred jealousy within Cain's heart, and his anger grew unchecked. God warned him that sin was waiting to master him, but Cain ignored the warning. He lured Abel into the field and killed him, making Abel the first victim of murder in human history. When confronted by God, Cain denied responsibility with the famous words, "Am I my brother's keeper?" Yet Abel's blood cried out from the ground, and Cain was cursed to wander, separated from the soil he once cultivated. His story illustrates how envy and uncontrolled anger can destroy even the closest of bonds within a family. Judas Iscariot. Judas Iscariot stands as one of the most infamous figures in Scripture, remembered for betraying Jesus. He was one of the 12 disciples, trusted to follow and learn directly from the Son of God. Yet for 30 pieces of silver, Judas agreed to hand Jesus over to the religious authorities. On the night of Jesus' arrest, Judas led soldiers to the Garden of Gethsemane, identifying him with a kiss, a symbol of friendship twisted into an act of treachery. Afterward, when Jesus was condemned, Judas was overcome with guilt. He tried to return the silver, confessing that he had betrayed innocent blood. When the priests refused to take it back, he threw the coins into the temple and took his own life. Pharaoh of the Exodus. The Pharaoh during the Exodus is remembered as a ruler who defied God's command to let the Israelites go free from slavery. He oppressed them with hard labor and refused to release them, even when confronted by Moses with God's message. In response, God sent 10 plagues upon Egypt. Rivers turned to blood, frogs and insects invaded the land, locusts devoured crops, thick darkness covered the nation, and finally, the death of every Egyptian firstborn son. Each time Pharaoh hardened his heart, refusing to submit. Even after the final plague broke him temporarily, he pursued the Israelites to the Red Sea, but God opened the waters for his people and then closed them again, drowning Pharaoh's army. His legacy became a warning of what happens when pride resists divine authority. Jezebel. Jezebel, the Phoenician princess who became queen of Israel by marrying King Ahab, was one of the most notorious women in the Bible. She promoted the worship of Baal, a false god whose rituals included shocking practices such as child sacrifice. Jezebel actively persecuted prophets of the Lord, having many killed, while supporting hundreds of Baal's prophets. Her wickedness extended beyond idolatry. When King Ahab desired Naboth's vineyard, Jezebel arranged Naboth's death by false accusation so that the land could be seized. This ruthless abuse of power brought judgment upon her. The prophet Elijah declared that dogs would consume her body, and this prophecy was fulfilled when she was thrown from a window and left for animals to devour. Athaliah. Athaliah, the daughter of Ahab and Jezebel, carried forward her family's legacy of bloodshed. When her son Ahaziah, king of Judah, was killed, Athaliah seized the throne for herself. To secure her rule, she ordered the slaughter of the royal family, including her own grandchildren, so that no heir would challenge her. Only one child, Joash, was saved and hidden in the temple for 6 years. During Athaliah's reign, she promoted the worship of Baal and brought corruption to the kingdom. Eventually, The priest Jehoiada revealed Joash as the rightful king. Delilah. Delilah is remembered as the woman who betrayed Samson, Israel's mighty judge, whose strength came from his vow to God. The Philistine rulers offered her great wealth if she could uncover the secret of Samson's power. Delilah pressed him repeatedly with questions. 3 times he deceived her, but still he remained in her company. Finally, Samson revealed the truth. His strength was tied to his uncut hair, a sign of his dedication to God. As he slept, Delilah arranged for his hair to be cut. Haman. Haman, an official in the Persian Empire during the time of Queen Esther, nearly carried out the destruction of the Jewish people. His hatred for Mordecai, a Jew who refused to bow before him, fueled his plan for genocide. Unsatisfied with killing Mordecai alone, Haman manipulated King Xerxes into signing a decree for the extermination of all Jews in the empire. He even cast lots, known as Purim, to fix the date of their destruction. At the same time, he built a massive gallows for Mordecai, Herod the Great. Herod the Great ruled Judea at the time of Jesus' birth and is remembered for his cruelty. When he heard about the birth of a child called the King of the Jews, Herod saw this as a threat to his throne. In an attempt to eliminate the child, he ordered the massacre of all male infants in Bethlehem 2 years old and younger. This atrocity, known as the Massacre of the Innocents, marked him as one of the most ruthless rulers in history. Herod Antipas. Herod Antipas, one of Herod the Great's sons, became ruler of Galilee during Jesus' ministry. His most infamous act was the execution of John the Baptist. John condemned Herod's marriage to Herodias, his brother's wife, as unlawful. Angered, Herodias sought John's death. During a banquet, her daughter performed a dance that pleased Herod, and he rashly promised her anything she desired. At her mother's prompting, she asked for John's head on a platter. Though distressed, Herod granted the request to save face before his guests. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, destroyed Jerusalem in 587 BC. He burned the temple, tore down the city walls, and carried the people of Judah into exile. His victories fed his pride, and he demanded worship from his subjects, erecting a golden image for all to bow before. When 3 Jewish men refused, he ordered them thrown into a fiery furnace. Yet God preserved them unharmed. His story demonstrates how pride leads to humiliation, but humility can bring restoration. Absalom, the son of King David, nearly tore Israel apart with his rebellion. Handsome and charismatic, he won the people's hearts by listening to their grievances and promising justice. Eventually, he declared himself king in Hebron, forcing David to flee. To display his power, Absalom took his father's concubines publicly on the palace roof. But his rebellion ended in tragedy. In battle, his long hair became entangled in a tree, leaving him hanging helplessly. Despite David's orders to spare his son, Joab killed him. Sennacherib, king of Assyria, became infamous for mocking the God of Israel during his siege of Jerusalem. His armies had already destroyed many cities of Judah, and he boasted that no God had ever saved a nation from his hand. He declared that Israel's God was no different. But King Hezekiah prayed, and through the prophet Isaiah, God promised deliverance. That very night, the angel of the Lord struck down 185,000 Assyrian soldiers. His story shows that those who defy the living God will ultimately be brought to nothing.
If this message has touched your heart, take a step of faith today.
If you didn't subscribe, subscribe to the channel to receive more messages from God.